Who are you and how do we get connected?
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm out in Berkeley and I've maintained sort of a connection with mentoring undergraduates and someone that I had gotten to know right before the pandemic, I think, had been working with you and I saw some great results from your work together and I said, "Hey, that's great. I'd like to see if I can sort of lose some weight and get in shape."
What was the biggest struggle you faced?
One of the biggest struggles was not knowing where to start. I had tried several times and I know that it's supposed to work. And I would get a book and I would figure out, but figuring out exactly the right entryway and figuring out sort of, how many calories it's healthy to eat, how many you can cut at once, things like that. And so it was really having someone who's been through this and who knows what they're doing just sort of say, hey, this is where you start, this is what you do, this is how you do it. And then sort of, you know, through checkup say, okay, that's good. You're headed in a good direction. So I don't know if it's knowing where to start, knowing the right pacing, or having sort of that um, check in to say, yeah, you're heading the right way, or maybe we need to tweak this.
What was the biggest pain you were looking to solve?
Here's the deal. I woke up one day and my pants were a little bit too tight. And I said, oh no, I'm going to have to go get new pants. And I said to myself, you know what? Do I really want to get the new pants or could I take that money and spend it in a way that would maybe slim me down so I could fit into my other pants? So, what was the biggest pain that I was looking to solve? I'm going to say there were two. Pain three. Pain number one was being overweight and out of shape. Pain number two was having to get bigger clothes and confront that psychologically and physically. And the third pain was not being able to wear old clothes that I really loved. And it's hard to believe because I am such a fashion horse.
What were some of the things that came with that, besides the actual fitting into clothes?
I'm in my office now and I look out my office and this is a city of hills. This is a city of steep hills. And I got into a habit of driving up the hill maybe a block and a half because I couldn't walk. So it's nice to be able to walk. Walking up a hill, walking, a few blocks, walking across campus, I would get winded. And so I think that that was sort of a pain that was not enjoyable in the moment, but also knowing deep down inside that it wasn't a healthy thing and it probably wasn't good for my heart or other parts of my body.
How did you feel before joining, and what did you try before joining?
I'm going to say before I kind of got frustrated because I started a few different routes and they didn't quite work out. They didn't, yeah, I couldn't figure out how to start. And so that was it. Oh, you know what I tried? Because I like books. And so I kind of feel like all good knowledge is found in books. And so I got three or four or five or six books on diet and exercise, and I was quickly overwhelmed. So I'd started a few things. I had tried, you know, the thing where you put your numbers into the app and you come up with things, and I couldn't figure out how to make those work. They were just like so overwhelming. And so I really appreciated having someone who knew what they were doing kind of say, okay, give me your raw stuff. I'm going to do the calculations. I'm going to figure out a plan for you. And if you do what I figure out, then that works.
What made you decide to make the leap, especially since none of it was in person?
I think one of the things that contributed to my making the leap was there were results. And so I saw my friend who had the results. And it's like, dude, if he can do this, then that means that there's a plan that works. And so all I had to do was plug into a plan that worked.
What was the biggest reservation you had to overcome to get going?
I got to be honest. I don't think I had any reservations. I think that I was confident enough in my buddy and his results. And I kind of felt like this is the time and let's just do it.
What has been your biggest mindset shift since you began working with me?
I've learned to balance the deliciousness of food with the caloric value of food. Because in the past, I only concentrated on how delicious it was, and I got my gratification solely from the deliciousness. And now I'm learning that things that are calorically rich need to be enjoyed in smaller portions. So that's just sort of changed my life, and so I'm now seeking out the deliciousness in low calorie foods like broccoli. So yeah. So I think that's it.
I'll take that. What one single thing would you say contributed the most to your success? A secret sauce, if you will.
The thing that contributed to my six, the one thing are, well, I was going to give two things, but you asked for the one thing.
Then make
So
it two.
I'm going to say that the thing is the plan and the fact that the plan was clear and the plan could be broken up into easily achievable portions, and that there were frequent check-ins to sort of make sure that things were going okay. And if something slid a little bit, then it's like, okay, this is the way you can compensate for it. So I suppose the thing that I appreciated most was the plan.
What was the exact result you achieved and in what time frame?
What is the exact result I achieved? Okay, here's the deal. I don't like that question. That question's in the past tense because I am still continuing to achieve results and I am expecting greater results down the line. So, ongoing, I'm just going to say that this sounds so superficial. I'm just I'm just happy that I'm able to fit into old clothes. And I think that the reason that I enjoy fitting into old clothes is because A, I'm cheap. B, they made clothes much better a few years back. C, you can't get any better than 80s and 90s styles. I've gone off the track of your question here. Talking about adrenaline rush, my adrenaline rush is going under the bed and pulling out a pair of pants that I haven't worn in 15 years and fitting into them again. So maybe that's the joy of lost youth. Maybe that's what that is. Or maybe it's just I like these things, and so it's a connection to things I like. Another thing is it's always nice actually going to the doctor and not having the doctor yell at me for blood pressure, not having the doctor tell me that I need to lose weight. It's, it's like, hey, you've done a good job. That makes me feel good.
What was the single piece of clothing that you're most proud of? And what was the clothing that you kind of went back the furthest that you haven't been able to fit in for X years?
I was at a meeting yesterday, actually, and I was talking about my ring that I got when I was a freshman in college. And it was awesome being able to fit into this ring again. And in a similar light, I've got a jacket that I wore when I was, again, a first year student in college. And so it's just cool being able to fit into those things. I'm worried though, because I fully expect in the next few months that those things might be too big for me. And I didn't save anything from high school. So anyway, but that reminds me. One of the really good things is when I was doing this, I'm going to say results were almost immediate. Like maybe 1 or 2 weeks in, I started seeing the numbers on the scale drop, and that was pretty exciting. And I would look at my graph that got generated every week, and just to kind of see it go down and down and down was just that was an adrenaline rush, and that was a thrill. And I'm excited because the way that things are presented It's like not just what are you doing now, but it's like what can we look forward to in a week or two or three. So a carrot and the stick, that carrot is always out there, and that carrot is there are going to be even greater gains, a week or two or a month down the line. And so that kind of keeps me going.
How great is life now on the other side of the transformation, especially from a non-fitness standpoint? How did it impact other areas in your life in a positive way?
I'm going to say that it's very cool when other people say that they notice a change, and that's happy. And it's very cool to know that with guidance, I've changed habits. And so even if I'm not able to track things with calorie counters, or if I'm not able to hit the gym for whatever reason, I have calibrated my internal mechanisms to not overeat, even though it would be nice to eat a whole pizza. I know that that's not a wise choice. So I think that that's one of the cool things. So the positive feedback from other folks and also knowing that I've changed my habits and I'm living in a healthier way.
How has getting to your goal actually impacted your confidence, relationships, and work?
Okay, so here's the deal. We had someone at the beginning of the pandemic who was teaching us how to use computer cameras and things like that. And they said, yeah, well, for someone who's a little overweight like you might want to have an external camera and shoot from a higher angle. It's like, oh, dude, seriously? And
Weird.
so just knowing that that's one less sort of barrier because people, I don't know if you know this or not, people like to look at other people and judge them. And so I know that they're not looking at that part of me and judging anymore.
Do you have any other things you want to share?
I suppose one thing, and this sort of goes back to the other thing that I said, sometimes it can be intimidating walking into a gym and not knowing what to do, not knowing where to start. And so it was really nice. It gave me a little bit of confidence to know what to do. And then if there is a question about how a machine works or how version one of an exercise is different from version two, it's really nice having someone who knows the difference and is excited about it, excited enough to say, hey, you know what? That's a good question. I'm going to go look into that further, and then gets back. And so it's just sort of an extended sort of a conversation that puts me at ease.
Is there anything you would say to someone who might be on the fence about joining?
I'm going to say that if you're on the fence about joining, that A, you're going to find out pretty soon that it's a good choice because the results are not, you don't have to wait a long time for the results. I would say that it's one of those situations where, you know, work pays off. And again, you know what? It's that speed thing. It's that instant sort of a gratification. It's like within a month, you're going to sort of like be amazed at what you can achieve.